All right, so we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CAS 360 Singapore Level 1 training session. My name is Jennifer, Account Manager for Singapore, and I'm also going to be your trainer for today's session for your CAS 360 Singapore Level 1 training. So just a quick housekeeping matters. This session is recorded and all the attendees will be on mute. So if you have any questions, kindly post them in the Q&A section of the Zoom toolbar. I'm also going to share to you the link of today's training manual, which you can find on the webinar chat of the Zoom. So if you want to access it in parallel with today's presentations and trainings, you can click on the link as well as we go along with the training. So we will be using the manual along the way as well as we do the presentations and the training for today. Sorry about that. I think I'm gonna have some issues. Apologies. I think I'm having some issues. All right. Can everybody hear me right now? I hope everybody can hear us. Okay. Apologies, I think I missed out some of your comments. So I'm just gonna go do a recap again. I think I might have like missed out. So essentially, we're gonna cover the basics and fundamentals of CAS 360 over here, which will include your getting started. So in getting started, we're gonna learn how to navigate your navigation toolbar on the left-hand side of the screen if you have seen your dashboard. Also the resource hub. We're also going to learn how to process your notification system, how we read them into the solutions. We'll also learn in your getting started how to set a email subscription. So CAS 360 has the abilities to send you a email notification to your inbox to send you what are the upcoming notifications and upcoming important key dates. We're also going to learn how to set up the registered filing agent. This is really important, especially if you are processing your annual returns. You need this kind of informations available and ready as well. And also, we're going to learn how to add in other users within the software. So I hope everybody can hear me now. Sorry about that. Okay, now on lesson number 2, we'll learn how to load companies onto CAS 360. So there are different ways to load the companies onto CAS 360 depending on the situation. So we're going to learn how to first load a company based on a company registration. If you're helping a client do a incorporation, company registration, we can prepare the incorporation documents and post-incorporation documents for you. And also in a scenario where you already have a takeover client who has an existing data onto onto Accra, for example, you can import them using our search registry toolbar. All right, so that will be on lesson number 2. In lesson number 2, we're going to learn how to process a company address change and the different types of documents that you can process as you process the company address changed. Lesson number 3 as well, under the company address change, we're going to learn how to maintain the location of your registered CAP. So for example, if your register of registrable controllers is kept in a different location, it's not on the registered office address, you can navigate and manage that in the location of registered CAP. We're also going to learn how to process or maintain the contacts and addresses of your clients. So in CAS 360, you can store multiple contacts and addresses within the solution and attach them to multiple companies. In lesson number 4, we'll learn the different types of officer changes, which includes a appointment of officers, resignation of officers, and preparing those necessary documents pertaining to those changes. Along the way, we're going to teach you also how to add in a bank account information. This particular process is very important, particularly if you're processing a company registrations for a new client. This will enable you to produce the resolution of opening bank account in your corporation company registration. Lesson number 5, we're going to cover on members changes. So we have different types of member changes, which includes your allotments, your share transfers, managing your nominee shareholders and registrable controllers. And along the way, we're going to teach you how to use very unique features within the document production called automated document reminders and also document review. Now, lesson number 6 is company name change. So we're going to learn how to process a company name change in CAS 360 and how to, what are the documents that you can produce for a company name change. And lastly, documents. So documents, there are 2 ways to navigate your documents. When you process and upload, or rather download the documents or extract the PDF format of the documents out from CAS 360 software, the software will automatically save a copy onto your global documents. And you can view it in 2 ways, either in global documents or company documents. Company documents is where you can find it in each company profile. There's a tab called company documents over there as well. All right. So I hope that I've managed to share that information. So we're going to get started with the first lesson. So I'm going to just escape over here and go straight. So when you first received your access to CAS 360, a few requisite things that you need to make sure of. Firstly, if you are the account owner, we call it, or the main administrator, you should be receiving a welcome to my BGL email. This will prompt you to set up your username, or rather your password, for your access to my BGL, which essentially be the same access to the software itself. So your username will be your email address and your password will be your my BGL password. Now, if you are simply a user, for example, you need to request this to your admin or the account owner of your company's CAS 360 account to send you an invite to invite you into accessing to the solution. So I already got over here my username, my email address, and the password already set up. Now we don't usually use the Sing with 0 at the moment. This is not enabled for Singapore, so you'll have to set up based on your email address and your password. Now when you click on login, it will automatically bring you to the software, to the main dashboard. So once you log into the main dashboard, you can see right over here different features. On the left-hand side, you can find your navigation toolbar. So as you click along the way, you will see different types of features available within each tool. So for example, for processing your Singapore annual returns, you can find it under your returns page. You also have your free-form documents where you can create your own documents that's not a standard document produced by CAS 360. I've got messages, and in messages, you have your outbox, your pending inbox. This one's going to be very new, your ID verifications, if you have used the digital ID features, reports, and settings. So ultimately, when you log in, it will bring you to the company's page, which will show to you all the companies that you're managing onto the software. So in the company, you also have different tabs as well, which includes the company registration. I'll cover this in a while later on. Your search registry, which allows you to purchase business profile, and dashboards. So dashboards allows you to see documents that have lodged with Accra, companies that you, how many that you've company added, the types of company that you have processed. So I'll go back to my company selection. So on the company selection, you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen. So each of these as well will have different types of filters. So in your company, you have over here advanced filter, and you can filter based on jurisdiction as well. So by selecting a specific jurisdiction, this will also filter the type of what we call alerts available for that specific jurisdiction. So you can see right now in Singapore, for example, all right, you have AGM, annual returns, and review, document deadline, and email. So these are the alerts available only for Singapore. If you were to remove the filter, it will show all the filters that applies to across all jurisdictions. So a good best practice, I would say, especially if most of your companies that you're managing are Singapore, it's best to filter them in Singapore. Now, as you scroll the way down, you can see deactivated companies. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about this as well. Now, in CAS 360, you have the ability to what we call deactivate. So we don't delete the companies. What we call is deactivate. So for example, if I'm just going to go back right here. In your main dashboards, if a company is no longer your client, for example, or you just want to remove them from the list, you can simply click on Options and select Deactivate. Now, when you deactivate a company, you will get a notification asking, are you sure you want to deactivate the company? This company will be included in your subscription until false. So what this means is that if, for example, you've added this company or this company's information is added in during your 12-month subscription, and even during that 12-month subscription, you also deactivated this company, it will still count within your subscription, right? So that's that. Now, when you deactivate the company, this will go into your list of deactivated companies. So you can see that there's a way to actually read it. Sometimes you will see it in green and some will be in red. Now, if it's indicated as red, for example, it means that this company is not included in your current 12-month subscription. It has already, we've refreshed, we've released out the slots and made the slot available for your current 12-month subscription, which means probably you have deactivated your last year's subscription. And when you did the renewal, it released out the counter. Now, if you see that in this section over here, when you deactivate, but it's still in green, when you mouse over, it will show to you that this company is still included in your subscription. That means that you've deactivated the company during your current 12-month subscription. Okay. So to find out more if how to actually read this, you can go to your subscription details and select Beach Area subscription. So it will actually give you a bit of a summary on how we count the license, right? So if, for example, you've deactivated 10 companies and the software, CAS 360, you get a notifications that you no longer have slots space for new clients. It means that you have deactivated quite a number of companies and they're still taking up their current license slot until they get renewed. Okay, so that's that. Now going back to the main dashboard, hope you can see, right? So in the main dashboard, you can see in the company, when you select the company, this will bring you to the profile of the company. So you will see different types of tabs available for you where you can store and record company informations. So in general details, you have the basics, which includes your company. You can add in the UAN and registered filing agents. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to add or select the filing agents. So generally for Singapore, you would want to set up your company's corpus, your company's corpus as the registered filing agents because you're using the company, your corpsex corpus to do the lodgements on behalf for the client, right? Now, you can also see that you have your company contacts, the signing contact as well. You can add in multiple company contacts as well. And right over here, very important field are your company dates. So this is very important, especially when you're managing the client's information, as this will determine your deadlines for based on the financial year end. So you can add in your annual return due date, annual return last filed, and next AGM. So here over here, for example, if let's say I put my financial year end for, I suppose for this year, we're supposed to be working on the financial year end based on the December period. You can simply make sure that this information are correct. So generally, you're supposed to have a calculator here. So I'm just going to refresh it for a second. Not sure whether you can see, but essentially you'll have a calculator here that allows you to calculate based on your financial year end. So a good practice is that always make sure that your key dates are correct and also accurate, because it will also determine the next annual return due dates or the next AGM if you use the calculator over here. So maybe I'm just going to select one company here. Yeah, so you can see right over here. So if I were to, for example, I'll put in 31st 12. So when you calculate it, it will calculate autumn based on the financial year end. So it's very important that you manage your company dates accurately so that when it comes to navigating your alerts, it's much more accurate. Okay. So I'm not going to go through this. We'll go through this in level 2 section on the topic on alerts. But essentially, this feature over here is linked to a lot of things in your software, which includes your alerts and also your returns over here. Now you can, under your general details, you also have your company status. So in the company status, you have the ability to change the status of the company as well. You have different types of company type, company class, subclass. If the company is a small group company, you can change it over here as well. And whether this company is foreign registry as well. So other informations you can add in, which includes your name registrations over here, your addresses, officers, and so on. So this is where you start recording all the information. So start typing in the data for that company. And in here, this is where we can also process the documents required for a company change. Now, before I proceed, any questions so far in this particular topic? All right, so if no questions, I'm gonna go back to my navigation toolbar. So as mentioned, each of these navigation, as you explore, you will see different tabs. I'm not gonna cover all of them. I'm only gonna touch some of the features as due to a limited time. Now, want to move on to the top right corner of your screen over here. Okay, so but before that, I'm just going to talk about this section here. So before we cover here, this section on the top left. Now, this section here, we have like it looks like a search engine. This is what we call the global search function. So this allows you to search and navigate to any company, trust, contact, or document. So for example, if I am looking for 15 June company, for example, it will show to me the results. And when I click on it, this will bring me automatically to that company's profile. You can also use this global search function to search for a contact. So for example, if I'm looking for Jennifer, here I've got 2 records of Jennifer. I can simply click on that. It will bring me automatically to that search results. So this is, I would say, the fast way to navigate to a company or contacts or a document by using the global search function. Now, I want to put your attention on the top right corner here on this section. We call this the resource hub. So we have different types of resources for you to help you navigate articles, help, notifications, live chats, and your app switchers. So before I go through these resources, I want to focus more on this particular icon over here. Now, this icon is what we call app switcher. App switcher allows you to switch to multiple applications within BGL. So one of which is your My BGL. So when you first starting the software and you set up your accounts, you get an invite and all that. This is the first thing that you will receive, your My BGL. Now, My BGL is essentially your account profile, which allows you to see your usernames, your company that you're attached to, who is your BGL account manager, and the product that you are subscribed with BGL, which this case for Singapore is only CAS 360 software. And on the left-hand side are different administrative portals. So essentially, My BGL is your BGL portal or anything related to BGL. So that includes, for example, your billing information. So if you have any upcoming renewals, subscription, or upgrades, invoices, this can be found in your billing section. You can also locate the contacts, who has, what are the contact level, what types of contact do they have at the moment. You can also view the product you've purchased with BGL. So in this case, I've purchased CAS 360, the corporate secretarial software. It will display to me informations like the amount of usage against the amount that I've purchased, the status of my product. You also have your purchase date and expiry as well. So In the process of using the software, maybe some of you might encounter, I want to downgrade or upgrade the license. So this is where you can upgrade your license. If you need more number of companies, more companies, you can simply click on upgrade. So I can't do it right now because this is a test account, but essentially you can upgrade. And if you wish to downgrade, it will automatically notify you to contact account manager, which is the case for Singapore. It's myself. You can contact me if you wish to downgrade your license to a lower tier. Now, payment details, this is very important as well, especially if you want to use the paid services features in CAS 360. So paid services features like your BGL ID screening, and also purchasing business profile from Accra and onto the CAS 360 is considered a paid service, right? Everything else in the software is free, but things like those two items, they are paid services. And in order for you to continue using those paid services, you will need to set your payment method in your My BGL under payment details. Now, trainings, again, this is a very important page as well. So if, for example, if you want to have a refresher of this training, you can simply go again to My BGL, select training, and register for the training. Free events, for example, Singapore. So we've got a user group coming up on the 20th of August. If you haven't registered, this is an in-person face-to-face event. So we're happening in ISCA on the 28th of August. We were going to go through the latest feature that we've rolled out for the last couple of months and what are the next features that we're going to be developing. So do register for this session. This is free and you can meet and have a conversation and catch up with us. So this registration is available for training. If you have missed or if you want to go for the next training again, if this training is still not sufficient, we do run another training session in August. You'll find it over here under training. Now in the My BGL, so within the My BGL, let's assume that you accidentally closed the solution or the software. So you can always go back to your app switcher to navigate and select the software. This will bring you back to CAS 360. Now, a very quick tip in navigating the app switcher is that if, let's say you are the My BGL, mostly this is the case that happens. If you go to the app switcher and you cannot see this over here, or you are in the user, but you can't see any of these two items. So this is the software, this is your portal. This means that your account owner has not yet invited you onto the solution, to the software. So always flagged and always let your account owner know that you haven't received an invite to access to your corporate CAS 360 accounts and My BGL. So I'm just going to click again once more. This will bring me back to my CAS 360. So any questions so far in this particular tool? All right. If there's no questions, I'm going to move on to the next. All right. So here, let's kind of go back to your resource hub. Now in your resource hub, we have different features available for you to help you with your adoption process or your adoption journey with CAS 360. So first I want to go through is this icon over here called the help. So the get help and assistance will bring you to different kind of resource links that help you navigate with the software. We've also categorized it based on a jurisdiction. And for this case, for Singapore users, you got your Singapore help. By clicking this link, the Singapore help, this will bring you to your support.cas360.com.sg support guides. It will bring you to different kinds of articles according to your requirements. So for example, if you want to find out more of getting started, you're still new to the solutions, you can click on get started. So we will have different, if you want to find out, for example, my BGO, how to navigate, you can simply click on that. It will list to you what are the different articles. So an example, let's say a scenario, you want to change the account owner to a new account owner. So that can be found under my BGL section. And we have an article and step-by-step guide on how to process that changing of account owners. So this is not just for my BGL as well. So there's a lot of articles here, which includes like company changes. So for example, if you want to find out how to appoint an officer, this will guide you or give you a step-by-step guide on how to process this documentation. What are the types of documents that it will prepare for each type of changes. And sometimes they will also have some frequently asked questions on that topic. This is more on the members' changes and so on. Now, some of you might have explored this page as well. So we've got new features as well. So each alternate week, we actually release out new features. So the next upcoming one will be this Thursday. We'll be releasing out a new feature on CAS 360. And you can simply click on like the date itself to show to you what has been released out. So because we've released out new features, we do software updates very regularly. So we had to put it based on when it was released, and you will see what are the core features that we have released out and features that are specific for jurisdiction. So for example, your annual return listing reports. We have added in partners and managers to annual return listing report. Right here. So you can simply just, if you have the time and if you don't want to miss out what are the latest feature that has been rolled out, you can simply go to this page over here and select new features. So I'm going to just share this into our webinar chat so that when you have the time to explore this, do feel free to explore these link as well. So that's for your support CAS 360 page. So I'm gonna just come and close this page as well. Now going back to your resource hub, you can also send the feedback form. So if you have some tools or features that you wish to add it into the software, I would highly suggest you to input it into the feedback form, as this will be sent directly to our product team to assess and put as a wish list to see if they can add in that features within the software. You also have the community page. So community page, this you can start a conversation over here. We've also posted our old or the past webinars that we had previously. So we used to have a lunch and learn session where we cover specific topics, specific tools in a 1-hour format just to talk about that specific feature. So one example is our share transactions and registrable controller. This is quite in the past. So we cover the basics of how to manage shareholder transactions and registrable controller onto CAS 360. All right. Now going back to Resource Hub over here, you also see this icon called Live Chat. So a live chat allows you to connect with our AI chatbot that will recommend you articles based on your questions. Say, for example, if I have an article about how do I process, for example, AGM documents, Cassie will recommend an article for you, step-by-step guide. And if this particular content is not helpful, it will also recommend you some articles as well. If it's not helpful, you can click no and you can request to talk to humans. So this will connect you to a live support consultant on the chat. You also have the ability to attach a document or a screenshot. If you're, for example, a case of like an error, for example, you can attach that document as well, or even the video. So that's for the quick live chat. Now we do have another tool as well here called support. So I'm just going to close it here. So next to that live chat, we have what we call support. So here you can log a support ticket through our support. So essentially you will need to type in the topic of your concern. Let's say it's AGM documents. I can prepare. And usually what happens is that the system will recommend you articles first. Now, if you can't find the search result specific for that keywords, you can simply click on log a support call. So the login support call allows you to give more information to the support team on what kind of issues or challenges you're facing with the software. So for example, let's say an AGM document not not preparing, an internal error, for example, right? So the best practice when using the support log is to give as many information as you can possibly have. And you can also manage if you like support to access to your account. So general rule is that we do not have access to your CAS 360 account. So in order for us to further investigate the issue that you're facing, for example, you will need, or rather, it would best recommended to give the support consultant access to your account so that they can further investigate what you're facing at the moment. So you can request for telephone or email, phone number, problem statement, and any supporting documents, you can simply upload it onto the software. So I think currently right now also we have the ability not just to upload a screenshot, but also a video. So you can just simply upload those supporting files as well. And once you click that, this will send to our support team. And what you will receive is a Zendesk ticket number. So you will receive in your inbox a Zendesk ticket number with your query. And through that email thread, you can add in more information, and the support team will reach out to you through that thread email. So you can discuss more what's the issue that you're facing, any supporting documents, or if you want to reply to the support consultant to reach out to you, you can use that same email thread. So I won't be able to show at the moment right here. Any questions so far in the support ticket? Right, if there's no question, So I want to talk to you more about this particular icon over here. So we call this the notification icon. So the notification icon allows you to view the messages between CAS 360 and different third-party vendors. For this case, the digital signing that we have integrated with. You also be able to get notification if you have successfully imported the company from Accra onto CAS 360, or also when you download a full company register set. And you can navigate it based on showing all unread. So if you have some unread ones, you can simply click on that tab. If you have marked them as read, you can just mark them as read. So you will have an empty notification over here. Now, this notification as well is linked to this feature over here called messages. So any informations or communication between CAS 360 and third-party vendor. For an example, a digital signing, you will receive it under the inbox over here. On Outbox, on the other hand, it will not show it over in your notification. However, in the Outbox, this will show you all the emails that you sent to your client via the CAS 360 software. So as you know that in CAS 360, you have the abilities to send the documents directly to the client from the software itself. Right. Now, going back to the notification icon over here, you can see I no longer have any notification. It's unread. Now, you also see this third tab over here called email subscription. So you can subscribe for email notifications sent to your inbox from CAS 360. You want to be notified what are the key dates, for example, what are the upcoming due dates that was detected within the software, and send that list to your inbox. To enable this feature, simply click on the toggle button, and you can simply select what to apply, whether you want to receive anything that has to do with the annual reviews. Let's say I don't really want to know what are any annual reviews within 30 days. So you have the ability to select that. Generally for Singapore, it will be the annual returns. So you can get an email notification about the annual returns due but past, which means this nothing has been processed for this particular company pertaining to their annual returns, process not filed, and so on. If, for example, if you don't wish to do that, you can simply switch off the toggle button. Anything that's switched on, this will appear in your daily summary email notification list. So I'm going to see if I have an example over here to my inbox, just to show to you how it will look like. All right, so I'm going to just give you an example. So how it will appear in your inbox, you will get a notification, something like this, when you switch on that email subscription. So you can see that I have 10 companies that has annual general meeting due and so on. And this will prompt you to log into the software to do the necessary actions based on the notification. So that's how we enable by switching on this email reminders. Now you can also control when you want to receive it, which time of the day as well. So here I've got receive daily email. weekly or fortnightly. So email daily, I have the ability to select which day of the week I want to receive that reminder notification. You can also select email weekly. So you can select which one of the day in that week that you'd like to receive. So for example, if I select bi-weekly and I want to receive this every Monday of the week at 10 a.m. So you can select which time of the day. And you can also filter based on whole company or favorites and so on. So only favorite labels. So favorite labels, I'll cover this a little bit more in a while. You can select your favorite labels as well, especially if you don't really want to see all the companies, only the companies that you are assigned to, or firm or both. So whole firm is essentially you received all the companies for that the firm is managing. And click save. So that every Monday I will receive a daily summary of all the notifications over here based on the key informations, and I can do the necessary action by logging onto CAS 360. All right, so any question in this topic so far? All right. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these icon over here is linked to your message. Now I'm gonna just jump right onto this tab over here called Outbox. So as mentioned, any emails that's sent from the software to your client, it will actually be stored the information or trail of that email. So you can see an example over here. I've got email sent out from my software. I send it to this particular client, this particular entity, and it will show to me the content of the email. So you can see that this is what I've sent out. My digital signing has been switched on for this particular company. That's why it shows document review, and I've sent it out successfully. Now you can also filter based on which email that's been sent out this month. You can see it's only based on the daily summary. So again, I can preview what has been set out. What has been sent out this week, today. And you also have the ability to filter which are the emails that has been delivered successfully, emails that had failed. So this one usually is what you want to select just to see why it didn't send through. So an example over here is I've tried to send a document for this client, but it failed. So it will show to me the record, the status, the email suppressed due to bounce back. This is the email, so you might have to edit or amend the email accordingly. So that's for your messages and notification. Now, moving on, if you're also just a quick reminder, if you're using the manual link at the moment, you can view that manual in parallel as I go along as well. Now, this content, setting up a registered filing agent, can be found on the page 26 of the manual as well, if you're using it at this stage. Now, in CAS 360, it's important to set up your registered filing agent because this will also help you disclose particularly the location of the registrable controllers registers and nominee directors and shareholders. So to set up your registered filing agent, you will need to go to your settings. So in the settings, select the lodgements and select add agent. By default, it will select Singapore, and agent name will be based on your company's corpus. So for example, if my company's ABC, let's say corporate services, I don't have that information, I can simply click create find. And you will need to make sure that you can select the company type. So what I'm doing right now is essentially creating a new contact to be saved into CAS 360. So we have a different type of contact type. We have individual and company. So individual are essentially for a person. If you're creating a new contact information for a new person, and company, on the other hand, is more on a corporate level. So for this case, let's say for your corpus, you want to add it in corporation over here. You can add in the email address, example. And if you have the UN, so you can just type in the UN number. And this particular over here is very important because the registered address, your registered address, which generally quite a common among the practice in Singapore to have the CorpSec's registered address as the location of the RRC or the nominee shareholder. So you need to make sure to set up the address. So for example, over here, I'm going to put in just Changi Vistas Farm. So you can see that, again, if this address doesn't exist within the software, it hasn't been saved, you don't have any record, you can simply add it in. Otherwise, if you already have the record, let's say Orchard, you can see I've got an example over here. It's already appearing. You can simply select that. So a best way to always type in the address first before creating a new address, because it will actually, CAS 360 will recommend this address. If you are able to see this recommended address, it means it's already been saved in your in CAS 360. So a good practice or habit is type in the address first and wait for the search to appear. If it hasn't appeared, it means it's no record. If it has appeared, there's a new record. Now, the reason why I emphasize this because this will help you avoid duplicate addresses within the software. So a lot of times, you may be using the same address, but it's the same address, but there are multiple address of the same location, for example, and it's attached to multiple companies, multiple contacts. So it's always a good habit that before creating this address on the spot, always type in the full address first and see if the search appears, and you can select that so you can avoid duplicate contact address. So once you click that, click save. This will then create agent name. And again, you'll have to type in that address again. This is just for confirmation. So I'm going to just 18, and you can simply save only or save and authenticate. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to authenticate this section, but I'm just going to quickly show to you how it will authenticate over here. So when you click on authenticate, this will bring you to this page called request for ACRA permission. So this is actually notifying ACRA that you are trying to access to their website through a third-party vendor, through a software solution, which is for this case, CAS 360 software. Right? So you can simply click yes to confirm, and it will authenticate you as a legitimate user trying to access to and trying to get authentication from ACRA. Now, a few things that I would like to also highlight when setting up your digital services. So on the corpus of your company, you need to make sure that firstly, your ID, your NRIC is assigned to your company's corpus. Secondly, is that your corpus administrator give you your IC admin rights to access to these digital services. If you can't really add in your NRIC, your full details, on this, we don't recommend it because ACRA needs to know who is the service provider trying to access to their, their database, to their website through CAS 360, right, for security. So, so this is something very important. If you are unable to, let's say, scan or lodged, for example, purchase business profile because it doesn't, it's giving you error, for example, it blocks you out. It means that your SingPass is not assigned in your company's corpus account to access to these items over here. So make sure you can find this on the page 26 of the manual. So make sure that your SingPass is linked to your company's corpus as a filing agent. Now going back to that, I'm just gonna save only over here. And you can see that it will saved into this section. Now you will also notice a notification alert called not authorized with ACRA. So essentially, when you authenticate with ACRA, as you can see over here, when you authenticate, what will happen is that you will receive a notification here to show to you that this particular service provider, ABC Cover, has been authorized to access to ACRA at a specific period of time. So usually it will be a 30-minute time frame. Now, unfortunately, CAS 360 Visual do not have any control on this. It's strictly ACRA who has the rights to give you how long you're able to access to their website. So it's similar to the same process. When you log into ACRA's website, you are only given 30 minutes to do the necessary lodgements or purchase, etc. within the software. Otherwise, they will log you out after 30 minutes just for security purposes. So for example, if you are, for example, using the search registry tool and you've been logged out, you can simply go to the lodgement settings and reauthorize yourself again. So you can see I don't have any. It's already been closed. It's the old integration. Now, going back to the company page. Now that you've set up your company's corpus information, you are now ready to assign your corpus's your company's corpus to your client. So an example will be if I were to go and select this company over here, you can see the registered filing agent. This will now be able or will display in your list. So earlier on, you won't be able, you won't be able to see this company over here. So now that I've already set it up, I can now select that and click save. Now, a very, very good tip, and this is a very important step, that always make sure that you assigned a registered filing agent for each of the company. Reason being is that in most cases, if your client is using your registered office address as the location of the registers for registrable controllers and nominee shareholders and nominee directors, it will automatically declare in your annual returns. All right. So always make sure to assigned a registered filing agent so that in your prior to the annual returns, it will display your office address as a registered filing agent. Right, so any questions on setting up your registered filing agent? All right, so if there's no question particularly on this topic, all right, so I'm just gonna go to this section over here. Now, the next topic I want to cover will be on your page 30 of the manual as well, is inviting users. So this is a very important step, especially when you first get started with the software. Essentially, when you go to your app switcher, you will see this item called user. This will open up your user account profile. So you will see your email address, the mobile they used, and also your multi-factor authentication. Now, when you're also starting with the software, this in your welcome to my BGO, it will prompt you to not only set up your password, but also your MFA. So there are two different ways to set up your MFA. You can set it up by authentication app or by SMS. Okay. Now, it's always recommended to use authentication app. It's much more secure and safe because a lot of times when people get hold onto your phone number with increasing amount of scam and all that, it's always recommended to have authentication app as well. All right, so I'm just gonna also share to you an article on it. So again, going back to my support guide, Singapore Help, you can find the step-by-step guide and information about MFA over here. So this will give you a bit of explanations and a very also great way to see what are the frequently asked questions, especially, for example, if the case is you're changing a mobile, you lost your mobile and such. We do have quick go fire articles on this to answer your questions. I will share this into the webinar chat as well in case that you have a query or you want to update your MFA for security. So you can click on authentication app, like what I recommended. So for authentication app, you can use the Google Authenticator, Microsoft or Auntie. And if you're using a authenticator using your computer, your work computer, you can use these. So I would highly recommend you to use the Authenticator app instead of SMS for security purposes. All right, so going back to that, so you can see these are my profile, and on the left-hand side, this will allow you to view and manage your user role. Now, depending on the type of role that you have been allocated by your account owner, you will have the ability to see this. If your account doesn't have these features, it means that your account owner, your company's account owner of CAS 360, didn't give you the rights to control the role settings. So under here, I want to go through with you how to invite other user. So let's assume you are the account owner of the company. So here you will need to invite new users to access. So click on invitation. This will bring you to the main page. So I've got over here the list of people that I've invited to join as well. And to invite other users, simply click on invite new users. So you will need to fill up the email address, first name, last name, and most importantly, as the account owner inviting other users, you will need to make sure to invite them or to set the type of role they have in each of the access. So again, a reminder again, my BGL is your administrative portal with BGL. and CAS 360 is the software. So if let's say your account owner did not missed out this part, this is usually what happens. Okay, always remind them to invite you in my BGL as well. This will allow you to register for trainings. So as an account owner, I can simply like select all normal users, for example, and I can also assign as an admin, for example. So admin, super admin will have different role settings. So I'm just gonna quickly over here, user roles. So user roles and permission, we have different types of role settings over here. So for more information, I'm just gonna give you this link as it's a little bit lengthy. If you're an account owner, do have a look at this as each of the role settings have different categories and different actions that they can do depending on their account. So I'm gonna go back onto these. Generally, an admin will have full admin rights to navigate both BGN or CAS 360, right? And you can just invite multiple users as well. Now, going back, just gonna close that and coming back over here. So I mentioned this, it will display to you all those that you have invited. You can see an example. I've got Amy who recently who joined in May, have accepted my invitation. So you as an account owner, the admin, you have the ability to view whether your users has accepted the invitation and activated their access to CAS 360. Okay, so it's actually your responsibility to check whether your team members have already set up their account and use it as soon as they can. Now, if, for example, you've sent out the invite and you can see an example over here, I've got Rocco Agostino, the expiry and the invitation to access to the software has already expired. So you can always resend the invitation again. So as an account owner, you can, if let's say one of your team members has said that, well, I can no longer access or set up my CAS 360 account, right? As an account owner, you can just simply resend the invite. And if you want to cancel, you can simply cancel as well. A very good practice is that every time you receive a welcome to my BGL, welcome to CAS 360 for both account owners and the general users, you must make sure to set it up immediately, right? Because the invitation itself, for security reason, it's only valid within 5 days. If you haven't set it up as soon as you receive it, it will automatically or it will be expired within the 5 days time frame. All right, so any questions so far for the user re-invitations? Now, this is something that's not in the manual, but just want to also share to you as well. So if you're an account owner as well, you have the ability to manage the users. And over here. So this is a good practice as well. If, for example, you have a team member who left the company, all right? And you want to make sure that this person has no access to both my BGL and to the software for security reasons. So to disable them not to access anymore, in your user manager under this, you can select user manager. You can simply click on that particular user that's no longer there, expand their profile. You can see that an example MB10 board has access to CAS 360 My BGL. You can Simply click on show, and this will show to you the type of role settings that they have for each. So if I want to remove, for example, an example over here, I want to remove this particular contact, I can simply remove my visual is currently enabled. You can simply disable. So this particular person with this email username will no longer have the ability to log in to your MyVigil. And again, similarly, if I want to switch off this particular user to enable this user, this particular person with this username will not have any access to your company's CAS 360 account. So this is a very good habit as an account owner. If you're going through a organization change or team members changes, make sure to manage this part as well. Now coming back onto the left-hand side, you can see we have in admin section, another very important feature is role settings. So as an account owner, the administrator, you have the ability to control what the other users is able to do for each application, whether it's the CAS 360 software or MyBGL portal. So I'm just going to go to MyBGL first. So in MyBGL, as an admin, you have the full admin rights. You can do all these that are toggle on. If you want to limit a particular user on what they can do in MyBGL, you can simply select add only, normal users, and so on. Alternatively, you can create a new user role. So for example, I've got, let's say, accounts only. And what I can do is that I can, all the accounts team who's logging into my BGO, I want to only allow them to download invoice, but the rest of that, for example, creating contacts, editing contacts, canceling product, all this. All right. I can disable that. I want the account only to be able to download invoice, change the product, the direct ID, delete or view, and so on, and save. So once you save that role settings, in the future, if you're gonna assign another person with this type of role as well, maybe from another member from the accounts team, you can set this as account. Similarly, in CAS 360 software, you have a different type of role. So you have the admin as the main administrator. So you had full access rights, and you can create a role settings. So an example that I've done is, let's say over here, I've got Team A. So you can see that Team A has limited options for them that they can do within the software. They can see company registration, all this, but preparing documents or editing the content or the data of the company, they are not allowed to do so. All right. So this is how we organize or manage the role settings within within your users page for both CAS 360 and MyBGL. All right. So before I move on to lesson number 2, any questions so far with the whole basic navigation in CAS 360? All right, so if no question, I'm gonna go to the lesson number 2, the more exciting topics onwards, just getting started in using the software. Now, once you've set up all these important features within the software, like your role settings, your registered filing agent, and such, so you're now ready to start using or adding companies. So there are 2 ways to add in companies, or rather 3 ways. So the first one, the basic one, is adding a company manually. So by simply going to your company selection, you can simply add a company, fill up the information, and click Save. Once you click Save, the company will appear in your list. Now, another option will be in a scenario when you're helping a client do a company registration. So essentially what it does is you're starting from the very beginning when you first interact with the client and you want to add them into the software. So to do that, simply click on under your company selection, add company, and select new company registration. This will allow you to select the jurisdiction. For this exercise will be Singapore, and select continue for company registration. So here we're going to go through an exercise of doing a company registration for a new company. So I'm typing in, let's say, 20 July, um, services, private limited, and I can fill up the necessary information. So you can see over here the type of company type. You can put it private exempted, limited by shares, or not exempted, and the financial year end date. So I can just put in my financial year end date will be, let's say, I'm gonna have to put this on the later date example. I'm just gonna use this one, easier. You have 12 months and you can add in your activity code as well. So an example, I want this particular company is an advertising. So you can see that not only it can pull out the activity code, it's also compliant to ACRA based on the SSRC code. If you have other descriptions, you can add in a creative agency, for example, and you can also add in multiple or secondary activity codes. Let's say consultancy. And again, you can add in additional. Now you can choose to continue it later. So if you don't have all the full details, you can simply save and close. Just gonna put in a date. Okay, over here. And you can see that I have right here, this section, save and close. Okay, I'm gonna have to add in another date. Save and close. So you can just close that and you can continue it later. So you can see that this particular company, it will appear under company registration and the status will be not registered yet. So you can always come back later on to continue on if you don't have the full details of that client yet. To come back, simply go to options and click edit. This will bring you back to the whole trail. So you can see that the system will automatically prompt you that there are details that has yet been completed. So you will need to complete them as part of your registration process. So here I've got my registered office address. I'll just select a registered office address. Officers. So here I'm going to appoint a new officers. So let's assume I'm adding in a Veronica. And what you also notice is as you do along with entering the data, you also notice you get a notification over here. So CAS 360 will notify you if there are details that are missing for a contact. specifically for contact. This is for compliance purposes. You can see that it's missing birth details, address, ID, identification information, and nationality. So these are the mandatory fields that has to be added for this for Singapore company. So I can simply click add them in. I'll just put in, let's say, Bongo. I'm just going to select that information. I'll put in birth details, let's say, and nationality. So you can select different types of nationality in the list as well, and ID type. So because it's Singaporean, so for this case, I'm going to select a Singapore NIC. You can also have an option to add in the passport details if you wish to, but you can simply skip that part. So that's how the records. I'm accidentally close that. So I'll redo it one more time. So I'm gonna select just the NRIC. You can also add in, depending of the type of ID you selected, you need to want to make sure that you've select them. And if, for example, if it's employment pass, for example, make sure to add in employment pass. So once you click that, just click save. So I've got over here, I'm just gonna put in my email address. And save. So once you've added that information, as you can see right now, I have all the full list of the contacts information, like your residential, the contact's address, and so on. Now, I can select whether this person is a director and secretary as well. Can click and save. And I'll add another person as well. So probably I'm gonna add in David James. And apply as a director. So we do have different officers as well. So I'm gonna go through this later on in the officers change. We're not only limited to these positions for officers, we do have like your nominee directors as well. So for now, we're gonna click that and save. You can see we have now 2 officers. Shareholders, similarly, will add in a shareholder. So here I'm just going to select a another person that I already have. All the record of this information will be displayed. If this is a beneficiary owner, you can simply switch on the toggle button. Otherwise, you can remain switched off. So I'll just have ordinary shares in Singapore currency. Automatically, it will allocate the first share certificate. And this area over here is very important. So why I will emphasize this is that if I click save, what will happen is that before they even allow you to save or go to the next page, is that you will need to add in issued share capital. If the company doesn't have any issued share capital, you still need to indicate that it's 0. The system needs to recognize that there is a numeric number in this field. So this is a very quick tip. So if you're facing error with the whole process, always make sure, especially if you're processing share transaction, for example, and you're getting an error, check whether there is a numeric number that has been added under the amount of issued share capital. So I'm just going to click Save. If you have an auditor, you can set up the auditor here as well. I'm just going to skip that part. And constitution. So depending on your company type that you have selected, it will recommend you the type of constitution. So you can select our model constitution. If you have your customized, so generally a lot of the service provider will have their own customized constitution, you can simply upload. By uploading your own version, this will be included in your set of pre-incorporation documents. So I'm just gonna select recommended by CAS 360, and you can see in the finish line, everything is in green. It will give you a summary of all the data input that you've added for this incorporation of a new company. So now that we're ready, we can simply save and prepare, and this will bring me to what we call the document production. Now, document production, when you are processing something new for a company, whether it's an incorporation, an officer's change, or a share transaction, or even any types of standard company changes available within the software, this will bring you to the document production. On the left-hand side, it will show to you the incorporation. This is the summary of what action you're partaking right now. So with this case, we are preparing a incorporation for 22 July company. And here it will show you all the documents that is related to that company action, which is a incorporation of 22 July. So you have a company registration summary, which will show to you and display. You can have this signed off by your client. You've got a consent to act as a director since you've already appointed a new director. And what's great about having to input the data onto CAS 360 is that when you prepare a ACRA forms like the Form 45, for example, CAS 360 is able to fill up the necessary fields. So for this case, you can see 26 July has already been populated onto the form, and also the name of the director. So similarly, we've got another Form 45 for Veronica Tan. So their information automatically gets pulled out and populate onto your ACRA forms. Similarly, for your Form 45. Now you'll notice company number is not there because we haven't registered this company as of yet. So you've got your consent to act. So this is a very basic template. You can see I'm gonna cover more on customization on Thursday. So if you haven't registered, you can register for that. And because this is your constitution that we've selected, this is the one provided by CAS 360. Again, if you have the customized version, you can always add that in as an upload attached document. And applications of shares. So now that you're happy with this documentations, you can simply click download all. This will export this document out of the software onto your computer in a PDF format. So that's a pre-incorporation document. Now, so you can see over here that you can't locate that that particular person contact anymore, right? So if you want, let's say, you want to process the post incorporation, you can simply go to the advanced filter and filter based on non-registered. So all the companies that's waiting to be registered with ACRA will have the UAN number and so on, will fall under the category as not registers. Now, one thing to highlight also with the company registration is that if a company is still awaiting registration as a status, it will not be included into your license. So you can process as many pre-incorporation documents as you want within CAS 360. It will not charge you for it. So if I were to type in July, I should not have any record of this. You can see that it's not in my company selection list. Therefore, it's not yet taking up my license slot for that current subscription year. Now, going back to my company registration, you can see that it's not registered now. The next process over here, so you've got my pre-incorp and post. To process the post incorporation, so you can simply click on post incorporation, and this will prompt you to fill in the UN number. So as part of the compliance with ACRA, the company must have already a UN number before they can even process the post incorporation documents. So I'm just going to add over here a post UN number. And today's incorporation date. Any supporting documents like your signed pre-incorporation, for example, you can add over here and click proceed. When you click proceed, this again will bring you back to your document productions, the corporate action you have done for that company, and the documents for a post-incorporation documents. So an example over here, you've got your first director minutes and resolution. This template is a custom, this is our standard default template provided by CAS 360. So these are also customizable as well. Your declaration, notice of EGM, you have your extraordinary resolutions. This one I have customized this as well. Share certificate, and so on. So you have the full document pack. This will also include your registers. So for the officers, we've split up the registers, register for secretaries and registers for directors. Now, you're ready to send off this particular client's documents. So I'm just going to quickly switch off these electronic signing. And you can see I've got prompted. So also something to take note as you navigate in your document production, each of this document, you'll have the ability to navigate what you can do for each of the documents. So for example, in your options, you can see for a first director minutes and resolution, this is the type of documentation. If you want it to be on resolution format, you can switch on and switch that. If you want to set it as a default, you can also set as a default. Otherwise, it will just select as minutes. So I'm just going to type in and select a address. You also have the ability, if you do not wish to have a date on the document, you can switch off that as well. So CAS 360 will also prompt you if, for example, you have missing information before you can even process. So for this case, the meeting address that needs to be indicated in the notice in EGM, you will need to add that first before CAS 360 process those documents. So now I filled that up, I click on download all. So again, it will download or extract, prepare a PDF format of my set of post-incorporation documents. So as you can see that when you go back to the company registration, not registers, you'll see in the list that you don't no longer have 22 July as not registered. This will then be moved to all registration. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when a company has been confirmed to be a registered company, this will automatically be a registered company and turn into a confirmed client. So if I were to go back to my company tab and I type in 22 July, you can see that this company is already part of your subscription license. So information that I've added in over here, my UN number, my incorporation date. So automatically it will just add in as of it. If you need to fill up the information or amend that, you can just go into the profile and amend those information. And most importantly, a very good practice is when you've completed the whole registration process for a company, always make sure to go inside the details to check whether the informations are correct. And don't forget to, again, assign a filing agent. This is to make sure that to remind you or to do it as soon as you can when you process it so that closer to their annual return processing of the documentations, you have the address of the service provider's address display in the annual return. So just take note of that. So you can see all this information is now in my record. So this is how we add a new company through a company registration on CAS 360. Now, the second method of adding or onboarding a new company or a new client is when they have a record stored in Accra. Now, to onboard them, simply go to the search registers and select search registers. By selecting the search register, you can simply select the jurisdiction and you will receive this notification to prompt you that this feature is a additional paid service. So this is to like flag you that, hey, this is a paid service. Just to let you know, before we proceed, you need to consent that you are going to pay for this. Now the extract is $10 per company. The reason why it's a lot more expensive is because unlike Accra, where you purchase the business profile directly from Accra only provides you a PDF format. And it's up to you if you want to add in manually onto your Excel or whichever location that you want to record those data. Whereas with CAS 360, not only that we can provide you a PDF format of the business profile, you also have a the converted data. So these data information will be converted to a CAS 360 readable data stored onto the software. So the beginning part, you'll see this notification. So always click onto this button over here. This will bring you to the guide, the step-by-step guide on how to use the importing of company data from Accra using the search registry feature. Now, with search registry, you have the ability to also extract multiple companies as well. So if I were to go, for example, over here, I click continue. I can search based on a UN or company names. If I, let's say, want to search for Rainbow Company. CAS 360 is able to read through Accra's database to see and detect which of the companies that have this keyword. So you can extract, for example, this company. And if you have multiple companies that you like, for example, Laurel, something, you can have multiple extract at one go. So you can have bulk extracts. So if you're extracting 50 companies, for example, you can do a search extract for those at the same time. And on the left hand, on here in this section, it will show to you confirm purchase. So this will calculate the amount of companies that you've purchased. Because it's a two company that I've selected, so therefore it selected as $20. Click on purchased, and this will extract out a company from Accra onto the CAS 360. So now I'm gonna do that process as again, the nature of this is that first you need to make sure that your registered filing agent has already been set up, because the only hindrance here is that even if you select the company and you click extract, it will still prompt you to ask permission to Accra to access to their database and process the extract. So I'm just gonna quickly show one company over here, so you can see. So this is an example of a company that I have in the past we have imported. So you've got the UN, the jurisdiction, date search, and so on. So you have two options around here. Let's say an example, download extract. So download extract will be the PDF format of a company. Now, another thing is that when you use the search registry, you have an option over here, download extract, import. So this whole process, you usually recommend this to users to use it because in cases like, for example, you simply just want to purchase the business profile, but you don't want this client to take up your license slot as of yet, right? So by using the search registry tool, you can simply extract the data first, but not import the whole entire data directly onto your company selection. So you can see if I were to type in Clover, I think it's a Clover. So okay, this is already imported. So let's assume I'm just gonna uh, delete that, for example. So you can see over here that it has been imported over here. Just gonna do another example. Like, let's assume that this company is not imported yet, right? So I'll go back to my search registry over here. You can see I can simply just click import. By selecting import, I am telling the system to extract not only the PDF format and the PDF data, but also to include it into my subscription. So if I were to type in Clover, for example, it's in my list. All right. So generally, there's another way to go about it, like the ones in Add Company, and then switch on this toggle. But I wouldn't always recommend this process, is because it will automatically include that Accra import, the Accra extract, into your subscription. So the best way is to always use the search registry so that you can select which companies, which business profile that you've confirmed to be your client and service, and you want to add them in your subscription license. All right. So any questions so far with onboarding companies using our company registration or import? All right, so if no questions, I'm gonna go to the next lesson, lesson number 3, which is company address change. So this contact in your manual can be found on the page 56 onwards and 57. So in the company address change, we're gonna learn how to manage a office address change of a company for the registration, and also manage your location of the registers and contact and address. Now, so we're gonna select use different types of method on searching a company. So this first one is you can use the global search. That's okay. You can also use this particular search. Now, this is not the global search, but it will search through based on the company selection. So I've got over here, July. This will display to me the company. So I've all got my key dates. I'm happy with that information over here. And because for this exercise, what we want to do is change the registered address. So we're going to select this tab over here, addresses, to change its registered office address. To change the address, simply click on your address and select registered office address. Here, I would want to change my address. Again, if you have a new address, you can type it in. If you can't find a specific one, you can simply add it on the spot. All right. So I'm doing an example, let's say Chai Chi Road. And there's a specific address I couldn't find. Now, if you're creating a new address on the spot, something to also take note as well in the address. So we've got over here a street name and building name. So you can see that you can search a street name based on Google format and also the building name. So if I were to see Chai Chi Lane, for example, you can see it will automatically go to the street name. Now, for example, if I were to type in Tong Building, right, it will automatically pull out the block and street name, but not the building name. Okay, so in order to fill up this, the rest of the information, you can simply, let's say, think, very good. I'm going to just use this one, for example. So if I want to type in Paragon, for example, I can simply type in Paragon. And instead of selecting from the list from Google, simply put your cursor and click. This will then becomes a free text. So what I'll just need to do is make sure to fill up the rest of the information. Let's say 0202 and click save. So now I've got a new address I've saved. These address will now be saved into my CAS 360. If I need to use this same address in other companies or contacts, I can always select it from my drop-down. It will appear on my drop-down as well. So effective date. So you have the option to apply to business address, postal, and meeting. And you've got over here location of the registers. So in the location of the register, I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit. So this will include your officers, your members, director shareholdings, registrable controllers, and nominee directors. So once I've clicked that, I'll click save. So what happens here is that we've just processed a change of office address for this company, a registered office address for this company. Automatically in the system, CAS 360 recognizes that you have applied an official change, and therefore it needs to print out a document. So you can see the print toggle switch on over here. And you'll also be able to see that this same address has been applied to the rest. Now, because we've done a company changed, automatically CAS 360 will enable this button over here called Prepare Forms. So it will process, again, the document production on the left-hand side, the corporate actions, the business action you've done, which is change of office address, and your necessary documents. So for this case, it's your director minutes and resolution for change of address from Lavender to Orchard. So again, you can simply click download to apply an official change for this company. So in your history, you have the ability to see what are the historical of registered office address for this company as well. So this is how we processed a change of office address and prepare the documents required for that. Now, in the same similar process, I'm going to go through the location of registered CAPs. So these can be found in the page 61 of your manual. So as you select the addresses tab and scroll all the way at the bottom, you will see registrable controller address and nominee. Now, the few things to in your checklist as a criteria to process this documentation is first, is this address a registered office address of the filing agent? If you are changing the location of the RORC and nominee director's registers location based on the address, your address, okay, or your the CorpSec address, this you don't need to change this part, okay? You just need to make sure that you've already assigned the registered filing agent, okay? However, if, for example, the location of the registrable controller and nominee directors registers are not in any of the registered office, whether their office or the filing agent's address, you want it to be a really totally different address, you can simply click on new address and select location of registers cap. So here, the location of registers cap, this will allow you to select the location. So I'm just going to type in a simple one. And you can apply over here where you want to change the location of which register is that you want to apply this change. So let's assume it's for my, not my nominee controllers and all that, or let's assume this location for my registrable controller and nominee and click save. So you can, as you scroll the way down, you can see that the address has been changed. So this is how we changed the location of the registers if the location is not in the registered office address or even the registered office address of the service provider. Now, next is we're going to learn how to navigate in your contacts and address. So in this section, page 63 in your manual as well, you can find and locate that. In your navigation toolbar, you can locate this tool called Contacts. Contacts allows you to manage the information of your contacts and addresses as well. So you've got two different tabs over here. We've got Global Contacts and Address. So in Global Contacts, you will see you had the ability to filter as well, to display all contacts, or if you want to just simply display all the individuals, you can do that. Displaying contacts based on companies, if let's say if it's a corporate shareholder or it's an auditor, but or a bank account, for example, you can you can display it by filtering in companies if you have joint members. And you also have the ability to see if you have some contacts that's not in use. What does that mean? So this contact over here is not attached to any company. So to make sure that you want to do your housekeeping matters, you can simply click on and delete this contact. You'll also be able to match contacts. So based on different categories. So let's say I want to match contacts that has the same full name and address. This allows me to know if there are any duplicates and I can select which one to keep. So if I were to choose that this contact is more complete and accurate, I can select keep. And these ones will be merged to this contact. A very good practice as well when selecting which contact to keep is to click on the relationships. If one particular contact has the same contact information, for example, over here for this case, and one of the contact has multiple relationship, which means that this contact I have attached and assigned to multiple companies as or multiple office holdings, multiple shareholdings, multiple positions. So a recommendation that this will be the contact to keep. If you have lesser in the other contact, you just simply ignore that, select the one that's you have more accurate information, it will merge together. This is a good way for you to do a housekeeping. Now, something to also take note as well in finding matches. So based on full name, for example. Now, this is a great way for you to track if you have duplicate names, but if the identification, like your address, is not similar, you might reconsider to keep, reconsider not to remove them. Reason being is that, for example, this is an example of one over here. So you can see that this Andy Tam, they may be a similar person, but they also may not be a similar person because the credentials are different over here. Now, if there are similar contact, you can click, but however, if this contact is similar person, but using different credentials to register multiple companies in Singapore, then it's best to just retain it as it is and not to combine them. So for example, if Andy Tam, this same Andy Tam is using, let's say, a Hong Kong passport or like another passport, for example, to register a company in Singapore, and then it's best to not merge them together. You just keep both of them as it is. So you can also filter based on first name, surname only. Now going back to the contacts, so that's how to filter the find matches. Going back to the contact, so to edit and manage the contact, so I'm going to give you an example over here. You can simply go and click the contact's name by simply clicking the text in blue, and this will allow you to see what you can record for that particular contact. So I'm going to just select another example, maybe, let's say, Jenica. So you can see over here that have the record. These are the information that I have maintained for this contact. So as you go along in your contacts list and click on the contact, you will notice that some of the contacts have missing information. So for example, they didn't have any emails, or they're missing a contact address, um, an address as their registered contact address, or passport ID, and so on. If, for example, you need to add more informations that you need to keep as for compliance, you can simply click on information and select that. So for example, if I want to add in identification number, I've already got selected my Singapore passport already. So maybe I want to keep in my passport details for this particular contact. You can just type it in as well. I'm just going to add that in. It's like that. So generally, if you're Singaporean, you shouldn't have any multiple um, identification, but for this exercise, we're just going to show how it is. Now, to manage the information of a contact, and if let's say you need to edit the information, you made a mistake. For this case, let's assume I made a mistake for the passport. I can simply click on this text in blue, and this will allow me to edit the information. So I can simply put in, I need to correct it to Singapore, and click save. So as long as the text are in blue, you can easily click them to edit the information. So let's say if Jen Kagan, if let's say this person has remarried, Rogers, and click save. So this is how we managed the contacts and editing their information within CAS 360. Now, going back to this contact as well, I'm just going to also show to you a very useful features as well. So earlier on, you can view how many whether this contact is assigned to multiple companies or was the multiple positions. So in your profile of the company, you can see this tab over here called relationship. The relationship will show to you what kind of relationship this contact has to multiple companies. So for example, over here, I've got he's a director. So for annual returns, he has all this transaction and records. You also have the bank account. So this is the contact who is signing as a bank account for this multiple companies. You have company contact. She's also a nominee shareholder. This person is also a has office holdings in multiple companies and also a registrable controller. So I've got also a representative as a representative for a particular company in my list. So I have a full record of which companies I assign this contact to, and what is the position of this contact within each of this company. So that's how we process to manage the contacts and information. Now going back to that, so with the global contacts, it's similar to your addresses as well. Now in address, you have a filter as well. You can filter based on address not in use. It's best to delete them if they're not in use so that it's less confusing which address So multiple times you will see in your address, you have the similar address type in. This is an example of that. If it's not in use, you can just delete that. It also helps you with duplicates as well. Now in address, similarly, you can go to options, click edit. This will allow you to amend the information if there are some mistakes into the details. And in the global address, you have the ability to view who is using this address. An example over here, I've got a 28 record using the same address. So I can simply click on download the full usage report. This will show to me this address over here has been used by multiple companies, multiple contacts, and the address type. So it may be a registered office address or director shareholdings address. So maybe this company used this address as a nominee director's registers address. So it will display that to help you to understand who is using and at what purpose they're using this address for. This is ultimately useful as well, especially if you are a service provider and you're offering your registered office address as an address to multiple positions, multiple contacts, multiple companies as well. So this is how we managed your contacts, details, and globals, and also your global address. So any questions so far? Right. Okay. So next that we're gonna now do is on your page 67 of your manual, lesson number 4. We're now gonna learn how to process officer changes in CAS 360. So going to your company tab, we're gonna go back to your company selection. And in this exercise, we're going to learn how to do different officer changes within the software. So I will use the same company that we have created. So that's 20th July. And here I will click on and select the company. So in the profile of the company, select the officers tab. And this will bring you to the officers page. So you can see from the company registration, this is what we have processed earlier as well. You can see that. Now, first exercise is we're going to learn how to appoint an officer for this company. So to appoint an officer, simply click on Add Officer and select a new officer. So for example, Alexis Chan, this is the new officer, and I'm going to select her as a director. Now in the Add Officers, not only that you can select director or position, but you also have the ability to select the nominee directors. If this person is a nominee director, you can simply select a nominator, for example, and appoint as it is. With this exercise, we're going to simply select a director first and click Save. This will automatically appear in your officers page. And as you can see, again, the print toggle has been switched on, and therefore the prepare forms right at the bottom of the screen over here will be enabled. So click on prepare forms. This will bring us to your document production. We're doing a appointment an officer. And in this full set of document packed, it will prepare all the documents. So you can see that I have my director minutes and resolutions. So you can see right over here. So this is a very basic resolution that we have. Again, this is a customizable document. You can customize it. I'm going to go through this in level 2 of CAS 360 training on Thursday. Essentially, what we have provided in CAS 360 is a very basic template that can be accessible in multiple jurisdictions. And if you want to customize this in more a Singapore format, I'm going to actually provide a free sample document which has a Singapore header style, and you can customize the body text. Essentially, what we always encourage our users is to customize the body text, as these are the ones that you like to display more information, disclose more information as well. There are certain limitations when customization, but generally you should be able to add in your text paragraph, a free text paragraph within the dotlet. So this is the the simple one. So I've got my members resolution as well. So you can see this is an example of a customized members minutes resolution. Directors, because I've appointed a new director, so Alexis Chan's information will be displayed into the register of directors, and you've got your consent to act. This is also customizable, so you can customize as it is as well. So each time you generate a set of document packs, CAS 360 is also able to give you a document summary. So for this case, this is a company change summary provided to give you the ability to review the information that you have just inputted into the software and apply it as a company change. And I can just simply click on download all. This will allow me to download the document into PDF and send and attach this document and send to my client. So that's how we process a appointment. Now, another example of company change, officers changes available is removing or resigning an officer. So for this case over here, I've got Veronica Tan as my director as a current one. To resign Veronica, I can simply click on the status and remove as, for example, resigned. Automatically, the system will prompt me the C state, so you can fill up over here. And by ticking this option to confirm, what generally will happen is, again, the prepare forms will be enabled and it will prepare the documents for resignation of Veronica Tan as an officer. So you have now the resignation letter. Again, this is a standard format system default. This can be customizable as well. So I can download that. And again, as mentioned, all the documents that has been exported out or sent to client directly will be stored in your global documents. Now, as you can see as well, it's still displaying as an officer. This is because that in the filter format, it automatically filters by all. So this will automatically display to all. But if I want to display my current officers at the moment, you can see that now I've got only 2 directors and 1 secretary. So if I want to display including my historical officers, I can simply filter by all and select all. Now, to reprint a document, so for example, I've processed a appointment of director of Alexis Chan. If I want to reprint the document again, I can simply click on print toggle. This will enable me to re-prepare that company change and click prepare forms. So this is how we do a officer changes in CAS 360. Now in this topic as well, we're gonna also learn how to add in a bank account. Now, as you've noticed, when we first process a company registration for this company, 20th July, what you'll notice is that in your post-incorporation documents, it's missing a resolution for bank account. The reason being is because we don't have any bank account added in yet for this company. So in order to prepare these resolutions, what you'll need to do is you will need to go to the profile of the company and select relationships. Under the relationship, you have the ability to add in whether your auditors, data protection officer as well. You can add in your liquidator, other positions, and also your bank account. So here, I'm just going to select bank account. I'll just type in DBS Bank, for example, as in July, service. You can just fill up any information here and account number. And any additional information you can fill up as well. And if you need some multiple signatories, you can add in multiple signatories as well. And click Save. Now that you have saved and stored, input this record into the company profile. When you go back to your company tab and select company registration, you can simply go back to the post incorporation of that company. So here, when I select post incorporations, it will now allow me to generate opening of bank accounts resolution. So this process, it's required, you will need to edit it into the profile, the bank account information, before it allows you to generate a opening bank account resolution. All right, so any questions so far on this topic? Just gonna quickly, if you have any questions, feel free to type it into the section. All right, so the next topic I'm gonna cover is on your page 79 of your manual on members and changes. So in this exercise, we're going to learn to do a different share transactions available, which includes allotments of shares and transference shares. We're also going to learn how to process in nominee shareholders and also your register of registrable controller. Along the way, during we process in your document production page, I'm going to teach you how to use the automated document deadline reminders and document review for your document processing. So in the same company, I'm just going to type in 12 July. And here we're going to select shareholders. So now that I've already have existing shareholder, you can see on the left-hand side, I've got the chart over here to show me the percentage it owned based on the share type. And what we'll do is we're gonna do a basic share transaction, which is allotment. So select your add transaction, and you can see over here we have different list of share transaction available for you to select. So for this case, I'm gonna select a allotment. So here I will type in, select a particular context. So let's assume I'm going to be the shareholder for this particular company. And I will select a share class. So I'll just keep it as it is. I have a 300 shares. I can select the share payable as well. And for this case, earlier on, we did not have any issued share capital, but I want to issue a share capital, for example. So again, a gentle good reminder, if you don't have any issued share capital, always make sure to check whether you have issued share capital, input, or like put as 0 as a figure, as it needs to have a numeric number to be able to process the documentation. Automatically, it will assign a certificate number to. Transaction will be a certificate type is transaction. If you have a unique number, you can just type in the unique number and click save. So you can see now the pie chart over here on the left will be updated. So we've got a total of 400 shares, and the number of 100 shares goes to Jenica Rogers, the other ones for Jennifer. And the issued share capital is 10,000. Because we've done a new share transaction for the company, automatically, again, the print toggle has been switched on, and it will prompt you to prepare the documentation for a new allotment. So I can simply click on prepare, and you can see these are the list of documents that I have at the moment. So again, this is the summary on the left, and these are the documents required for me to prepare allotment of shares. Now, I can simply generate the documents, but this one tool that I would like to share is what we call automated document reminder. So there's a very powerful tool here that allows you to send a reminder to your clients about these documents that you've just prepared for them, which for this case, an allotment of shares. So in the download all or send all, you will see that there is a arrow up. So I'm just going to quickly zoom in, and you can just simply select whether it's download all documents in separate PDF or download all and set an automatic reminder. Now you can send a automatic document reminder to your client pertaining to this document pack over here. So simply click download automatic send reminder. And this is similarly available for send all as well. And you can see that you can send a reminder and send up to 6 reminder. All right. You have the ability to also change the date that you want to send. So for this case, today's date, I'm just going to quickly put the 04 May 31 p.m. Just going to quickly put that in and then click save. So what happened is that it will actually send a document reminder to the client. So here, it should be somewhere on one of the documents over here. So you can see pending the reminder in the global. So this should already be sent to my inbox. So let's assume that I am in the inbox. Let's assume I am the client and I'm logging into my inbox. So here as a client, as I'm your client, for example, you can see over here, this is the email sent to me. You send it to me, and I have the attached document for that share allotment. So this content over here can be customized as well. So this is a default my customized template that's sent. And by default, when you're sending a automated document reminder to your clients, by default, it will show as no reply at CAS 360. So I'm going to talk a little bit with these more on in level 2 on Thursday. So essentially, this is customized. You have the ability to do a custom email where it would display your company's email address instead of no reply. But in this scenario right now, you have what we have your username, which is myself. I was sending that and then the attach. And in CAS 360, when I send, if I'm the client, for example, I want to reply, I have the ability to set in my CAS 360 the reply to, so that when the client reply to this email thread, it will not send to no reply. It will actually send to my email address instead. Right? All right. So this is, I can see pending document reminder. This will scheduled in August. So if I want to see all those document deadline reminders, I can simply go to my message and go to the pending outbox. Now going back to that company, so now that I've processed the documentations, it should be stored over here as well. Now, after producing or preparing those documents and signed by the client, your clients, you can't, unfortunately, at this stage, we cannot lodge it directly to Accra. We are able to do it previously because of we have an API integration with Accra, but due to the changes that occurred since December, as you've noticed, Accra's website for lodgement of any transactions has changed. The whole portal has changed. Therefore, they've all closed the old API. So they've done a new, they're in the new system, they're rebuilding the whole platform, and they have switched off or they've cut off and all the vendors who have connection with Accra's API, including ourselves. So at the moment, this is something that we cannot launch. If you are managing other jurisdictions like Australia, UK, and also New Zealand, we have the ability to launch these changes. But unfortunately, with Accra, this is within Accra's control. So we're just waiting for this to be enabled for us as well. All right. So going back to this section, now that we've allotted new companies, so we're gonna do a share transfer. So again, similarly, we're selecting add transactions, and this time around, we'll select a share transfer. Here in share transfer, we'll have the ability to select a shareholder based on the list. We don't have any beneficiary, and we will select a particular new contact. So I'm not sure who's going to be here. Maybe I'll select Alexis Chan. Again, it will prompted whether it's a beneficiary owner. If not, we just skip that is ordinary shares, and I'll transfer some 100 shares. So again, maybe I'll just do another one here. And automatically it follows a certificate number 3 to balance certificate or balance 4 certificate number 4 for transactions. Now I'm going to give you and explain this process over here. So it depends on your practice whether you issue a balance certificate or a certificate to the certificate number 3 to the new shareholders. If you practice in a sense that you prefer to issue the certificate number 3 to the new shareholder, you can simply change to none for the transfer, and automatically the new shareholder will receive certificate number 3. If you do a balance certificate, you can retain it as it is. So certificate number 4 will be issued directly to the new shareholder. So I'm gonna save that. Again, you can see that the print toggle has been switched on and in prepare forms. So you have all the necessary documentations, which includes your cert certificate. So you'll see that in the share certificate, certificate number 3 is a balance certificate. The remaining number of shares that Jennifer have, and the new issued share will be allocated or will be issued to the new shareholder. Now, coming back here, again, we have the director minutes and resolution. The system automatically recognizes that this is a share transactions. Therefore, it will populate the necessary disclosure information with a standard system format. This is the CAS 360 format. And you also have your share transfer form. So again, you have the ability to download the document or set a automated document reminder for the client to sign the documents. And another thing that's a feature that's very powerful as well within the document production is what we call document review. So if you as a team, you need to send this document for review to your head of department or your managers, supervisors before it gets sent out to the client, you can simply switch on the toggle button over here. As the person or the user who's preparing these documents, I can send a note to my the head of department or manager, managing my team lead about this information. Let's say, please confirm that this is the correct person. And I can simply select the reviewer. So let's assume I am the reviewer. And in this option, what you'll notice is that the download document, download app is no longer in this option. Because with the whole process of document review, it needs to be sent out to the reviewer first. And once it gets approved or rejected, it would then be sent directly to the client through CAS 360. All right. So here I'm just gonna, you can also upload any documents as well if you need to. So I'm just gonna like add in some random document. All right. You can see over here and send on. Now, as the preparer, I'm sending this directly to my manager who will review the document. Now, once the document has been reviewed and either approved, automatically this email template, this email with, I think right now I've switched on the digital signing, it will send directly from CAS 360 to the client's email address. So you can see over here, this is the email address. So I'll send that right over there. And let's switch to a role. So let's assume I am the manager reviewing the document. So what I'm going to do is send over here. And so by default, I will receive a notification as well. So I think I'm gonna have to redo again, as I think it's a different email address. So I'm gonna do one more time, the same one for here. So do another, so I'm gonna redo just one more time again. That was a share transfer. So remember, if you want to reprint that or redo this transaction, you can simply switch on the toggle button. Add reviewer, please check the information. It's true and correct. And I'm just going to add myself as the reviewer. So probably switch off my digital signing first. All right. And send. So as a reviewer, I should be receiving a notification over here. So I'm just going to cancel that. You can see that as the manager who's supposed to review those documents, I will receive a notification in my documents that one of my staff member is asking me to review the document. So in the document review, you can see over here, the document I prepared for this company is pending for review. So as a reviewer, I can select whether to approve the document or not. So let's assume that I've rejected this document. Please change, please update, let's say, the passport details as it's expired. So you can choose to approve documents or reject. So once it get rejected, what happens is that as the preparer, let's say I'm back as the preparer who's preparing the document, I will receive a notification to let me know that my manager, who is the reviewer, has rejected my document. So I can simply click on view. This will bring me to my global documents to show to me that there was a note over here to please change the passport, and the status of the documents is document review failed. So this is how we use a document review. If you need to send to your head of department or your team lead to check the documentation before it gets sent out to the client. All right, so any questions so far for that document review? All right. So if there's no questions, so I'm gonna go back to my shared transactions over here. So again, we're gonna select the same company that we've just created over here, and we're gonna go back to shareholders. Now, under the shareholders, you have the ability to manage your nominee shareholders and registrable controllers. So all these fields can be found under shareholders. Now, a prerequisite that you need to do before you process the document is first, you need to make sure that you switch on this toggle button over here if this company is required to maintain a registrable controller. This will enable you not only to add in the company, but also print the notices. If this toggle button has a switch on, you can see that I don't have that option to print the notices. So you must make sure to switch on the registerable controller. So here I've select register registerable controllers. I can simply start adding in my registerable controller. So I can simply select with the registerable controller, or probably I'm just going to select myself. Can add in the respective dates, including appointment and date of entry, any additional notes. You can click Save Prepare, so add on notes over here. Either saved or save and prepare. Now, when you click on Save and Prepare, this will bring you to document production. And you will see that you have a register of registerable controllers, including the remarks notes that you've added. This will also allow you to print the confirmation letter. Now, what you'll notice is that you don't have the notice yet, right? So to prepare the notice, you can simply save this content. Right. We're having some tests at the moment. You can just click download all. And in order for you to process the no SMSF, you simply go back to your registerable controller. And this time you're going to select print registerable controller documents. So in that, it will prompt you to select notice of registerable controller if this registerable controller requires a notice. So here I can select the notice type. I'm just going to select whatever right now. And you can add in multiple notices. Click prepare documents. And so now you can see that in that whole process of print documents, you have the registerable controllers, confirmation letter, and also your whole nominee, the notice that you've selected. So you can just simply, again, send the document to the client or download the document. So this is how we process a registerable controller under your shareholder screen. So in the similar page under your shareholders, you can also process the nominee shareholders. So by processing, you can simply click on Add Nominees, and the process will be the similar case as well. You have the ability to print nominee shareholder documents as well. So at this case, you can see that because I haven't added any data onto pertaining in nominee shareholders, so this document will have NA in the record. So what you simply need to make sure of is that before you can print the documentation, you must add the data, then you print out. So the whole workflow in CAS 360 that the whole principle is first, it needs to feed it with information into the software for it to be able to auto generate the documentation for respective company changes. So here I'm just going to select add nominees. Save and prepare. You can see that your nominee shareholder has now been updated. So this is how we processed a nominee shareholders within CAS 360. Now, at the moment, the notice function for annual notice to send to controllers, nominal directors, and shareholders, we're currently in work in progress at the moment. This is something that been rolled out and we're in the testing phase to be released out within the software. One of which is one of the documentations, like the notices and the forms, will be released out sometime this week. So do look out for the features updates. When you log in, probably on Thursday, you will see a notification icon, like a notification that there is a new software released. It will be in that feature. So hope that's clarifies. So any questions so far for the members changes? Otherwise, I'm gonna go jump into the next category over here, which is on your page 107 of your manual onwards, preparing company name change. All right. Now, to change the company name, now we're gonna go back to the main dashboard, so just to familiarize you navigating, how to navigate across. So again, similarly, I can use this the search engine, or if you want, I can simply type in 20 July, select it, and this will automatically bring me to the profile. Now, to change the name of the company, you can simply go to the name registrations and select add name. Here you will select a change of company name, and you will have some prerequisites that you need to go through as you process the company name change. So let's assume I want this name to be July 22nd Service Co. Private Limited, for example, or rather just Co. And I can select my suffixes as well. So now that I've created that, I can save and prepare the documents because I've filled up those informations. So now I can prepare the director minutes and resolutions. I've also got my members minutes, members as well, and notice of members meeting. So again, it's a very standard template because we want to, this is generally for all across all jurisdiction. You can customize this template. So I can simply click download all to download the document. This seems to be a much more common practice. Otherwise, you can send it directly to the client. And what you also notice is that you can see right over here, there is the effective date is pending. So when you can mouse over onto that icon, you can see that this company is pending until approval is received by ACRA. You can also remove the pending status from the option. So to remove that pending status, simply go to the option tab and select remove pending status. You can add in the effective date. So you can see that I am not allowed to add in the effective date as of today's date. So I'm just going to put in 23. So by 23rd July onwards, it will allow me, it will show the new address. So if I were to type in July, you can see it's no longer in the record. But over here, the power of global search is that it will still be able to search, but it will search based on the previous company. Sometimes when we're very used to a particular company's name, that it's very hard or it's challenging for us to remember what's a new name. So to be able to search it based on the previous name, you can simply search it in your global search function. But here, over here, if let's say if I want to use this company's my company search based on a company level alone, and I type in July, you can see that this company is in the record. So if I were to type in July, July as well, July 22, you'll also have that record. All right, so that's how we process a company name change in CAS 360. All right, so any questions so far on processing the documents? All right, so if there's no questions, I'm gonna go into the documents, which is on your page 112 onwards of your global documents. Now, as mentioned previously, whenever you prepare a documents out of CAS 360, whether you extract them out from the software, you download them all, or you send it directly to the client, the system will automatically create a copy, a folder with that documents. So there are two ways to navigate it. One is by company documents. So if I were to search my company, for example, and click on that, you will see this tab over here called Documents. This is what we call company documents. So on a company level, you have the ability to see all the documents you have prepared for that company that you've just selected, which in this case, July 22. And on the left-hand side, you can see all the documents. You can also filter documents as well. So previously, as you can see, we have all these transactions, documents to be lodged, and so on. Now, this is a great way to keep track what are the documents on a company level. You can see that these are the folder name, and you can expand what kind of change that occur for that company change. And this is a special resolution for company name change. You have also your nominee shareholders and so on. Similarly, the share transfers that we have just created earlier on, it will give you the summary and what was the change. Each of this folder will have a trace number. And for you to be able to view what's inside this particular folder, for example, folder 118, which is a share transfer, simply go to Option and select Attachment. In that, this will show to you the copy that you have sent or downloaded from CAS 360. So as you recall earlier, I mentioned, any document that you export out from CAS 360, the software CAS 360 will create a folder system and save a copy of those documents that you send to the client. So you can preview the document. You can see these were the ones that we've just sent out or downloaded earlier on. And if you have a document, for example, that you've just, for example, received from the client, let's assume I have, I'm just gonna do an example. 1 and 6. Signed document, for example, signed document. I'm just gonna quickly, so let's say I have this document signed, right? So you can simply browse the document right? Or you can drag and drop. So this is my drag and drop document. So let's assume this is a signed one, right? So it hasn't been signed yet, but let's assume this is a signed document. So you can simply close that. And a best practice within using this software is to always update the status. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to update the status of the document, right? So in this case over here, I've got my document review. Let's say I've already approved that. You can simply change the status to document, let's say document receive. Or document process. If you've already, let's say, have these documents, you've already also processed the lodgement. So let's assume, okay, I have already lodged these changes to Accra. You can, again, simply change the document. And you can say document process, for example, or let's say lodged. So in this whole status that you have the ability to also view the whole entire journey of that document. To do so, you can simply go to the options and select history. So what you can see right now, I have a full history of the document journey, when it was prepared, who prepared it, when it was sent. So you have a timestamp. And you can see that this was sent for review to my manager, but my manager, rejected it. And perhaps maybe I've sent it to the client manually and they've approved it. So this is a great way for you to keep track. So you can see that, okay, I've rejected this document, but somehow my staff member received a document, perhaps a signed one, and lodge it directly. So it's just also to keep track whether this documentation has been processed correctly, as well where you're at in that particular document. And then you can do the necessary action as well. So it's always a good practice when you receive signed documents from the client, you can simply change the status and upload any signed supporting documents, or if you lodge the document, you have a copy of confirmation, you can attach that as well. This is to help you keep track the status of the document you've prepared within CAS 360. So that's how we view on a company level. Now, another way to view all the documents is in our navigation toolbar called Documents. So in the global documents, this will show you all the documents across all companies. So you can see you have the company name, the file name, and the trace number, and so on. This is a lot more massive. You can see, you will be able to see you have more documents that you process for across all companies. Now, you also have, for example, these filters as well. I've got my annual return. So if you've been processing or exporting at annual returns documents previously, you can see that I've manually filed. I'm gonna go through a little bit more these particular transaction in your lesson level 2. But essentially, right now, because as I mentioned, we don't have any direct filing lodgement with Accra at the moment due to the changes with their platform. They switch off completely. So we're not able to automatically change the status of the document. So you'll have to mark it as filed within the annual returns. Now, this marking as file, it's very powerful because the moment you mark as a file within the returns page, this is how you mark as file. essentially what will happen is that it will update your company dates in the general details, including your next financial year end dates, your next AGM, and annual return due date for the next filing annual return due date. So we're gonna cover this a little bit more on level 2. So going back to that global documents, you can see that you can see all the documents. This is a great way in a scenario like, let's say you want to see all the annual returns processed within CAS 360. So you can filter based on annual returns or review. It will show to you which are the companies that you've processed annual returns for. Similarly for digital signings. So I'll cover this in a little bit on Thursday as well. Essentially, you can filter which are the documents that has been digitally signed. If you have switched on the digital signing to sync up with your CAS 360 account, you're able to track that as well based on the status. So an example, again, over here, signed by client but not lodged, for example. So documents to be lodged. So you've got all these different types of company changes, and you can see that it has not been, and there's no update to this. It's only prepared, but maybe you've already lodged it. So you can simply just document lodged or lodged. So you can see in the history, you know where the status of that document is. Now, in the global document set, you will see both in the company documents and also global documents, this option here called upload. You can upload external document for within CAS 360. Let's say you want to upload the agreement form or onboarding for a company. So I'll use the same company and let's say onboarding agreement, for example. And again, you can simply sign by client. You can change the status, upload the documents. So I'll just add in a random document over here to upload and click save. Now you will see over here that attached to existing or trust, generally for Singapore will enable it, attach the document to existing company and click save. So if I were to, let's say, go to that July 22, similarly, inside the company document, you can see that I have that onboarding agreement document. Again, to view the document, click attachments, and I should be able to see. Now, going back to global documents right over here. So another great thing to look out for in this feature is what we call advanced filters. So advanced filters allows you to search based on the companies, let's say 20 July. If you want to just see all the 22nd July company, and also maybe another company as well, like maybe in June. In June, you want to see all these documents, right? You can simply apply the filter. It will filter based on that advanced filter search. Now, in advanced filter as well, so you can search based on document type. Let's say you want all the, let's say, nominee shareholder document changes. Apply that, it will generate all that and show you all. Now, in the advanced filter, you will have the ability to create a filter. So this is an example of save filters I've created. So how this works is that essentially you can stack the filters and save them for future use. So an example will be these RIC and nominee shareholders, right? So what I've done is that I've stacked this filter based on registrable controllers and nominee shareholder documents. And what I've done is that I'm just going to clear for one more time. How I did it is that essentially, if I were to go to nominee shareholders and ROIC, for example, instead of just simply applying, I click Save and Filter and label it as ROIC, RC, and also nominee, and click Save. So that in the future, if I want to use this filter for quickly and efficiently or more accessibly, I can just simply go to my Save filter and select that and apply so that it will automatically filter based on that Save filter. Right? So this is how we processed a or managed your global documents using the advanced filters. All right. So that's very much how we navigate both company documents and global documents. So any questions so far on this topic? So any questions so far? All right, so I'm just gonna go through like a key takeaways with this level one is that what you need to remember when navigating into CAS 360 is first you must make sure that the information that you key in the profiles are accurate and true. They are up to date. Make sure that you've also added in the registered filing agent to ensure that all these informations are correct prior to your annual returns, which we're going to cover this on Thursday. Secondly, is that this is a very important information that you must make sure that they're up to date, because this is also going to affect the way you display, right? The way to display your annual returns, right? So that's important. Now, all the documents that you prepare, as mentioned, out of the software or send it directly from CAS 360 to client will be saved into the documents of the company or even in the global documents. All right. So that's one of the things. And lastly, always make sure that if you're unable to access to the software, because this is very common when you're first starting the software, like you can't see this interface at all, always flag this to your account owner, to your main administrator, to invite you inside so you can get started with using the software. Now, before we close, I have one more question about one question coming through. if you're able, are we able to upload the signed resolution onto CAS 360 so that CAS 360 serve as a e-minute book? So yes, you can upload that. So an example would be, let's gonna do an example that we've just done earlier on. So an example would be a company name change. A company name change, definitely it will have a resolutions uploaded in it. So if you were to go to attachment, you will see you've got a resolution. So these are the copy of what you have just exported for this particular company change. All right. Now, if you have assigned documents, what you can simply do is I'm going to do an example. I'm just going to randomly put a sign. Let's say, let's assume this is a signed document, right? Over here. So you can just upload, you can browse or you can upload, close that. And the good practice is that once you've uploaded into that folder, always make sure a very good practice is to change the status that you've received the signed document. So you can simply signed by client. So that in this way, if you were to go to the options to view the attachment, first is that you're going to see the signed document over here. Second is that when you go to options and select history, you have a historical trail of where the document is at. Like, what's the status of the document? Like, is this like a signed resolution? I've already signed this document. I have the copy of it. You can have it, as, like a reference. Now, something I've also, before I've end this session, when you're also preparing documents in CAS 360, let me do an example of reprinting, for example, this document. If you have a additional document to add on, you can simply upload an external document. So when you download or send this directly to the client, not only it will send this standard documents prepared by CAS 360, it will also include what you have just uploaded within the document pack. All right, so you can upload external documents in the document production. You can also upload documents in the folder files. All right, so any questions? Hope that answers one of the questions. Otherwise, just a very gentle reminder as well. So we're gonna have a user group. So please ignore this title. It's gonna be at 20th of August, Wednesday at 9:30. We'll be having it at ISCA Building, Cecil Street. And to register, I think you might have already seen how to register. You can simply go to your My BGL, go to the events or training section, select new registration and select free BGL events. Now this session, it's going to be presented by one of our product managers of CAS 360, Andy. He will be presenting what are the new features that we have rolled out for the last couple of months. So some of you, you might be so busy looking into this kind of new feature updates, very hard to keep track of them. So we run this session hands-on so that just to get you as a user to be aware what we have added within the software. So a lot of the features or a lot of the topics, I might not have covered it within during this session as due to the limited time that we have. We will cover this in our CAS 360 user group in the 20th of August, right? So do to guarantee your slot, please make sure that to again go to your My BGL and register with that. So simply go new register, select free my BGL, select Singapore, and select and do the necessary attendance. So we have limited slots. We only allow 50 sittings for this session. So this is a first come, first serve basis. So do register as soon as you can. All right. If you don't have any questions, thank you so much for your time. So for those of you signed up for the level 2 session, so hope to see you again. Have you with us on Thursday for the session. We're going to cover a little bit more on advanced features, including your smart alerts, AGM alerts, bulk alerts as well to send to you and to your clients, and also preparing your annual return documents. All right. So thank you, everyone, and have a great evening ahead.